Okay, guys, 6:29 a.m. in the morning, and I just had an experience. Oh my God. Oh, I had to write it down first, actually, and I just finished writing it. Now I am recording it with you. Let me get right into it. By the way, it is December the 15th at 6:30 a.m. in the morning. It began innocently enough. I got up and I went to the restroom, usual stuff, laid back down again. Storm sounds in the backdrop. So my eyes are shut and I'm just sitting there and I'm kind of thinking about it. Again, it's been probably, about a week or so since my last experience, maybe a little less. And so I'm like, all right, I don't know, we'll see. And I started focusing on the usual things. I did the thing where I made my third eye, or I imagined that my third eye was glowing in a golden light. And so I just sat there with that. And at one point, first, I could see the silhouette of a keyhole. This was really weird, kind of in the distance. But that's the first thing I saw. I could see that. And I still felt fully conscious. In fact, it was weird. Normally, when I'm really tired in the morning, I see these things. I start to see these things. I feel conscious, but not so much. I feel more or less as if my consciousness is in the backdrop. This time I felt much more conscious, much more aware of things. In fact, I think I was talking as I was seeing this, describing, I don't know if I described the keyhole, but I know I could see it. It was like a little keyhole. And again, I moved toward it a little bit. And then suddenly I could see what looked like the beginning of a cartoon, and a classic cartoon. Many of you that listen to me may be too young to remember Looney Tunes and Bugs Bunny and the old style cartoons that there were back. Gosh, I think Bugs Bunny was back in the 50s, the 40s actually, and above. And there were black and white Bugs Bunny cartoons and things like that. This one was color, and it wasn't Bugs Bunny, by the way. It was not Bugs Bunny. It was some variation of it. And I can't tell you, it was funny because I was trying to read the title out loud, and I felt as if I was speaking. Like my eyes are closed. Like the way I'm talking to you right now is the way that I felt when I was looking at it going, oh, that's I was saying something like, that's a cartoon. Wow. Okay, I'm watching a cartoon. This is interesting. And so I could see my full field of vision was filled with this, as if I was watching this cartoon. Now, I didn't feel as if I was watching it on a television screen. I could just see it. And again, it was like the beginning of a Looney Tunes Bugs Bunny cartoon, maybe, but sort of a variation of that. Very strange. So mentally, I felt myself move toward it. And I wanted to move toward the animated cartoon or whatever this was. Again, in the beyond body, normally I'll feel that sense of motion, blah, 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 all those things. But this time, no. No. And there are times, I've told you, there are times where things are different, where I will go into this differently. This time I moved toward this cartoon. Eventually, I was in a room, presumably my room, in another reality. Now, I don't remember much about this room. I remember I looked around and I knew I was in another reality. It was so interesting because at first, whatever this room was, it was probably a standard room, maybe a room of a teenager or someone who was perhaps a little bit younger than that. I knew, an aspect of me knew that I was in a parallel universe. And again, let me emphasize to you, and I want to emphasize this to you, I was very aware. I was more aware than I normally am in these experiences. I was extremely aware and conscious of all of the things that were happening. Very unusual, because usually, if I'm this awake, I don't know that I'd be able to do this at this stage of being conscious. But I was very conscious during this experience. So I'm looking around my bedroom, nothing unusual yet. Again, in my mind, I'm just thinking, all right, I'm in another universe. All right, here I go. I'm in a parallel universe. And this is kind of cool because I feel very aware. But again, I can't tell you the specifics of what my bedroom in this universe looked like. I went toward my door, and I opened it. Oh my God, there was a fire. Now, this is something that was completely crazy. There was a fire. Now, it wasn't blazing. And let me go into some of the things first, questions that I'm sure you're going to be thinking in your mind. I can almost hear those first questions coming out of you. Did you feel the heat? Did you feel a burning sensation? Could you smell smoke? Were you coughing? I have to say, if I'm being completely honest, no to every answer to that. I wasn't coughing. I wasn't feeling an intense amount of heat from this fire. It almost looked, it wasn't blazing. It wasn't like full on. It was sort of like it was starting to come down. The fire was, but it wasn't completely gone. Right? So it wasn't smoldering, but it was enough. And this was the unusual part. Everything outside of my room, like whatever wall or whatever it was that was right outside of my room and past the hall, that wall was completely burned away. It was gone. There were still, again, flames here and there. And I was definitely panicked. My adrenaline's still pumping, guys. Oh my God, my adrenaline's still pumping. I was definitely a bit panicked by this because I'm looking around going, oh my God, there's a fire. And I'm having the reaction that any of you would be having if you came into a situation where you were in a fire. Again, I wasn't coughing. I wasn't feeling any kind of burning sensation. None of that. I was simply looking around and feeling panicked. I ran down the hall because, again, there was a hallway. And this structure, house, apartment, whatever it was, I did note that it was structured differently than the places we have here. It was unusual in the dimension and other things. Not anything I had the time, by the way, guys, to really sit down and go, okay, this is the difference. This is different than this because there's a fire going on. So I'm not trying to compare and contrast our reality to whatever reality I was in. I was like, I'm in a fire, and so I gotta move. So I ran to another room. There was another room, and I knew instinctively to go inside. When I opened it, there was no one there. But I do remember this room. It was the room of a little girl because I think she had pink sheets, and she had, the sheets had some characters on it that I could see. And there were other things that suggested to me that it was a little girl. My little sister in this reality? I don't know. It's a big question mark. I am an only child in our current reality, my 3D reality here, where I'm speaking to you from, I am an only child. I don't have brothers or sisters. So is it possible that this room belonged to my little sister? Yeah, it's possible. She was gone, by the way. Like I said, thankfully she had left the house. I seem to be the only one that was in there. It brings me to question at this point. I have no idea what I look like, or now things are popping into my head. Perhaps I wasn't uh, inhabiting a version of me in this reality. Perhaps I was simply observing. And there are times I've gone to realities where, or parallel universes where I simply observe. Like not a participant in that particular universe. I am an observer of that universe, and I can just look around and see things. That may explain why I didn't feel the heat, why I didn't cough, why there wasn't smoke. I did feel a specific panic. And by the way, I want to tell you, I did feel as if I had a body, but the elements of fire and those types of things, it wasn't there. So I come out of the room and I'm walking down the hall, and I look out again, and I think I could see people out there, but again, there didn't seem to be the kind of panic that I thought there should be. Again, there weren't any fire trucks, none of that. So I started thinking, immediately I started thinking, well, maybe I need to fly out of here, because again, I'm aware that I'm in a parallel universe. Some places I can fly. I'm thinking, okay, so I'm gonna fly maybe, because I wouldn't have been able to just jump out, because I think I was at a height. I was up. And I don't know if I would have been able to jump. Perhaps I would have been able to, but and at the height I was at, and perhaps I would have been able to fly out of there. But guys, I didn't get the opportunity, because as soon as I started thinking about whether I should try and fly out of there or not, the experience ended. And I opened my eyes and I was back here in this reality. Oh man, what an adventure. It was crazy. It was dangerous, I suppose. I don't know. Did I feel as if I was in immediate danger? Maybe a little bit, but not so much as if I was actually experiencing a fire here. I know I did feel the adrenaline rush in the very beginning, and I just felt like I needed to get out of there. Anyway, guys, I have to get to work, but I wanted to record this before I left. Thank you so much for coming on another journey with me. It was a dangerous one this time, a dangerous one. Until next time, take care.